It is officially June, so that means that it is also officially blueberry season in the garden. I'm so excited. I've waited so long for fresh garden blueberries. Blueberries are one of my absolute favorite fruits, so I grow a lot of them in my garden. If you also grow a lot of blueberries in your garden, you might be wondering, what do I do with all of these? What is the best way to preserve them? And don't worry, I got you covered because I am partnering with the makers of Ball home canning products. I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make their blueberry conserve recipe out of this amazing book. This is the Ball Blue Book, Guide to Preserving, and this is the 38th edition. This book is amazing. It's full of recipes. It's full of so much information on canning. I actually taught myself how to can years ago with an earlier version of this book. So it is a wealth of knowledge. I'm gonna be walking you guys through this entire recipe step by step right along with me. So if you're an experienced canner and you want a new recipe under your belt, follow along. And if you are a new canner or you've never even canned before in your life, I'm gonna hold your hand and we're gonna get through it together, and you are gonna feel so much more confident canning by the end of this. Blueberry conserve is one of my absolute favorite ways to preserve blueberries because unlike jam or jelly, conserve just has a little more oomph to it. You know what I'm saying? Not only does it contain the whole preserved fruit, but it has some really nice additions like some dried nuts, some dried fruits, and it's just amazing. You can do so many things with it. You can spread it over toast just like you would jelly or jam. You can add it in yogurt or oatmeal, or you can even add it into baked goods like pancakes or muffins. There's just so many things that you can do with it, and the taste is so amazing. We're gonna start with picking some fresh blueberries right from my garden. We need about a quart for this recipe. If you don't have a garden and you still wanna follow along, just go grab some from the store, or better yet, your farmer's market. This right here is just one of my blueberry bushes that I grow in containers. It's a container variety called Jelly Bean, and as you can see, it grows so nice and compact. It's a very short, stout plant, but the amount of blueberries that this one plant puts off every year is just incredible. It's probably my favorite variety of blueberry ever. The berries are incredibly large for such a compact plant, and they are some of the sweetest blueberries I've ever tried in my life. I'm just gonna harvest everything that I can from this plant, and then I have a few more plants on the other side of my garden, and hopefully we're gonna get what we need here, which again is about a quart. You'll know that your blueberries are ready to be picked when they're that deep purple blue color that we all know and love, when they're sort of soft to the touch, when you can squeeze them and they just give in a little bit, they're a little bit soft, that's when you know that they're ripe and they're ready to pick. Right, I think we've got enough blueberries here. Again, we need about 1.5 pounds, which is about a quart, which is also about 4 cups of blueberries. I think that there's actually more of that, so I'll also have a little added snack as well. Now let's go into the kitchen and get started. The first thing I always like to do when I start any kind of canning recipe is just lay everything out that I'm gonna need. It just helps me organize things a bit better. So I have all of my jars, all of my canning equipment, and of course our book and our recipe. For equipment, we need our funnel to prevent any spillage when filling our jars. Then we need our debubbler and our headspace measurer. This measures the headspace and debubbles the jars. Our lid lifter, this lifts our sterile lids without us touching them. Our jar lifter, because we don't want to be sticking our hands in hot water and touching these really hot jars. We need a ladle to ladle our conserve into the jars. And for this recipe, we need 1 orange, we need 1 lemon, we need our quart of blueberries or 4 cups of blueberries, we need a 1/2 cup of raisins, and then we need 4 cups of granulated sugar. And of course we need our jars. This recipe is calling for 4 half-pint jars. We need to make sure that they have brand new lids. The jars don't have to be new, the rings don't have to be new, but the lid, we always want to make sure that it is a brand new lid. This is for safety reasons. We also need a large, deep stock pot with a lid and something on the bottom that's going to prevent the jars from touching the actual bottom of the stock pot. I have this little rack that I use in mine. Along with washing all of our equipment very well with soap and warm water, we're also going to wash all of our fruit. I'm going to pick out any blueberries that are discolored or look off in any way. When we're canning, we always want the freshest, most perfect fruit. And I'm also going to remove the stems because we don't want that in our conserve. We're going to start by warming our jars. So I'm filling up the stock pot with cool water. I'm going to place my jars into the cool water. It's very important to not turn on the heat before your jars are in there. We never want to place something cool into something warm. That could lead to breakage of the glass. We'll start them out on medium-low just to get them warmed up a bit, and we'll increase a bit before we fill our jars. Now we want to go ahead and start slicing our citrus very thinly. You can go a lot thinner than I'm going. I actually prefer mine to be a little bit thicker because the citrus peels are actually my favorite part of this conserve. But if you have a mandolin and you want to go a lot thinner, feel free to do that. It may feel a bit weird that we are keeping the peels of the citrus in this, but this conserve basically candies the peels, and trust me, it is so good. So to a stock pot, we're adding our citrus slices, our raisins, our sugar, and then 2 cups of water. And we are going to bring this to a simmer until the sugar is dissolved. This is going to take about 10 minutes. Next, we're going to add in our blueberries, and we are going to bring this mixture to a boil over medium-high heat. We're going to cook this mixture rapidly. We're going to continue to stir so nothing sticks, and we're going to try to bring this almost to the gelling point. The gelling point is 220 degrees Fahrenheit. So we want it to come to about 218, 219, and then we're going to bring it off the heat. If you have one of those nifty little side thermometers that goes right on the pot, that's great. I don't have one, so I had to improvise using the tongs. If you hadn't done this already, go ahead and crank up the heat a little bit on your jars. We want them to be nice and hot before we start canning, not boiling, just hot. Again, we have very, very hot conserve here, so we want to make sure that we are putting it into hot jars. If you put it into cooler jars, the glass might break. That's not safe. For this very same reason, we want to make sure that we're filling our jars one at a time. We don't want to take out all of our jars because the others could cool off while we're filling one, and that's not safe. So we want to just make sure we're keeping everything nice and hot by filling one at a time. Safety when canning is just so important, and this is one reason that I trust Ball home canning products so much. All of their recipes in their books are tested. They're tested over and over again for safety. And for the same reason, you want to make sure that you are following recipes to a T when you're canning. You don't want to deviate, because if something is tested for safety, you just want to make sure that you're following it exactly the way that it was tested. Filling a jar for canning is super simple. Take out your jar. You want to fill it with the funnel on. Fill it to 1/4 of an inch of headspace with conserve. That just means 1/4 of an inch from the top of the jar. Then use your debubbler to get out all of the bubbles that might be sitting at the bottom. We want to wipe our rims so that our lids can get a good seal. When you twist on your rings, you want to twist them finger tight, and this just means you only want to twist them as much as your fingers can twist them. You don't want to grab them and fully twist them as much as you can. They don't need to be too tight. Once all of your jars are in the canner, you want to put on the lid and then bring them to a boil. Once they reach a boil, you want to set a timer for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, cut off the heat and then let them cool in the canner for 5 minutes. Then you want to take them out. Also, you want to keep in mind that the processing time of 15 minutes could be different depending on what altitude you're at. So you want to double check that processing time that you need for your specific area. And there is a whole section in the book about adjusting those times. When you're taking out your jars, it might be tempting to tilt the water off of the top, but don't do that. You want to lift them straight out and put them straight down. The water will evaporate. Leave the jars undisturbed on your countertop for 24 to 48 hours. After that time has passed, you can remove the rings, and we're going to do a seal test to make sure that the jars are sealed. You do this by just picking up the jar very gently from the top lid. If nothing goes awry here, meaning the lid doesn't come off or you don't hear a loud pop and the seal is broken, then this means that your jars are sealed and they're ready to store. You always want to make sure that you label and date your home canning products, and these can be used up to 1 year for peak freshness. The finished product is this gorgeous beautiful conserve. You can see all of the citrus slices in it, and I think it's a great gift to give to people. When you're opening your home canned goods, you want to make sure that that seal is very tight, and you want to always do a sniff test. Just make sure everything smells okay and nothing smells off before you consume it. My favorite way to have this conserve is in some Greek yogurt. Conserve is a bit more liquidy, a little bit more loose than typical jam, and I think it just blends so seamlessly into yogurt. All right, I got it all mixed up. It's time to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And one of my favorite things about this conserve is the lemon and orange peel. I think citrus and blueberry just go together so well. And the way that this conserve candies the peels of the citrus, it's so yummy. I couldn't ask for anything better on this beautiful, beautiful day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you loved following along. If you have any questions, drop them down below for me in the comments. Make sure that you follow @Ball Canning for all of your canning recipes, products, needs, all of that. I'll link the book in the description as well so that you can get your hands on a copy for yourself. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this bowl of delicious yogurt and blueberry conserve, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.